Ever since I made comments about Godfrey, you know, there have been people that said, Tim Blackman, you're wrong about Godfrey. Godfrey's our guy. He's always talking about black history. And he be standing on this square. I disagree. I think Godfrey picks positions to play. He's like a politician, you know. He'll go with whatever makes sense for him in the moment to help his brand. I believe Godfrey's been social climbing for the last couple of years, and he's found a lane that worked for him. But all roads lead back to the Democratic Party. That's what I believe. We may differ on that, but I got evidence. In this video, Godfrey is clearly pandering to the Democratic Party, and I'm gonna prove it.
There's this black dude with his white wife, but you don't see the wife in the camera. And the wife asked the daughter, so what did you say? What did you say?
I can't see Daddy, he's black. The sky's black, everything's black.
She goes, I can't see Daddy because he's black. I can't see Daddy because he's black. Making fun of his darker skin. And she's laughing at it. The father's just sitting there. I don't know if this is just a common thing that they do, but I don't know if he thought that was funny. But the wife is laughing. So it's a weird dynamic. I mean, listen, there are jokes, people, hey, I'm dark skinned, I get the dark skinned jokes. Light skinned people get their jokes, albinos everybody gets their jokes. But just to put that on camera, and I don't know the context of it, maybe they joke all the time like that, but that didn't look good to me. That didn't look good to me. And it looked like an internalized inferiority, and it looked like racism from the wife. And whenever it comes to interracial like dating or marriages, people get real sensitive because nobody wants to understand the truth of this. People will say this, but love, you go where you are loved. A lot of time that comes from traumatized people. I agree with that. Yeah, you're supposed to go where people love you. Of course. Well, when people say, well, love transcends color. I think it's a little overrated. Love transcends color because as much intermixing that we have done, there's still supremely racist people that really have partners that are ethnic. You got the guy that shot the white woman whose wife is Filipino. You have Mitch McConnell whose wife is Asian. You got a Candace Owens whose husband is white, and she says crazy shit about black people. We can go on and on and on about people in biracial relationships that shit on their own race, or they say f***ed up shit to the person they're with. They might call them a racial slur or whatever, and they're with them, married to them. And this is happening in relationships now, because I know people in interracial relationships that have been called racial slurs and they still stick around. And you have people who are in relationships because they hate themselves, they hate their people, so they go outside to express their, self-hate. But there are people who are in relationships because they actually love each other. There isn't no agenda, some people.
See, both sides, jump on one side, jump back on the other side. Even in his little short videos where he's breaking down a social thing that's not even political, he still can't help himself. He got to play both sides of the fence. Fam, this is what he does all the time, and I find that shit irritating. I mean, if you can't stand on business, why talk about it? You come up with a strong opinion, then you start thinking while you're talking like, hey, people might get offended, so you start backpedaling. Godfrey is obviously a Democratic Party kiss ass. He be tap dancing for them people, man. He's talking about how people be selling themselves out, being with somebody of another race, and they have an inferiority complex. You have an inferiority complex too, Godfrey. It's called brokeism. Yeah, you're inferior. You're afraid of being broke. You're afraid of not getting further along in your comedy career. I mean, what else would you skip over? Obvious Democrats who are far more popular than the ones you just listed. I mean, how about Don Lemon? Yeah, why not bring up Don Lemon's interracial relationship with his husband, Tim? He's got a great name, but still, it's very Caucasian. Right? Very Caucasian. And Don's with him. So what does that say about Don? How does Don feel about black people? Never mind how he feels about women. How does he feel about black people? See, you just put a foot in your mouth. Then there's also, Kamala Harris. Heard of her? She ran for president of the United States. She's in an interracial relationship, married to Doug. Some people call him Miss Imhoff. That has to be right there when you're going through your Rolodex and making your point about interracial relationships being full of shit. How could you skip over Doug Imhoff and Kamala Harris? Prime example. But see, if you start sticking the landing and giving it to both sides of the fence for real, well, then you can't get invited to the cool parties. You don't get to hang out with Don Lemon and Joy Reid and play footsie. Nah, you don't get to do that because now they're gonna be mad at you because they don't take criticism. They don't go, oh, he's got a different opinion. We're gonna let it slide. They're not going to respect you. They're going to be like, we respect he's a comedian. He gets the joke. He's making a social commentary short video. If he mentions me, it's cool because I know how I am. I'm stable in who I am. I'm confident. I ain't tripping. My ego, I don't wear that on my sleeve. I don't be blowing things out of proportion. No. If you mention Don Lemon, he'd never forget it. You wouldn't be able to go on his podcast. What about Ilhan Omar? Perfect example. And these are people that talk all the time about white supremacy. And what they end up with, white guys. White guys, not even white women, white men. How could you not bring that up? And see, that's my point, man. Once upon a time, comedians, they were different, at least in my recollection. You know, I don't remember Richard Pryor kissing nobody's ass on any side of the political spectrum. I don't recall Paul Mooney kissing ass. I don't recall Bernie Mac kissing Democrats' ass. I don't recall. Now, I do recall those comedians kind of staying away from politics to a certain extent, but when they did talk about it, they just shitted on the whole thing. They would universally call these people corrupt, swindlers, thieves, liars. And that was sort of the thing. Or maybe they would imitate a voice and kind of keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But see, not Godfrey. Not Godfrey. Godfrey is one of those diabolical type of ass kissers. Very strategic.
Now, I know you guys have heard what happened to Don Lemon. He was arrested today. Don Lemon is being arrested for doing his job. You know what's really sad about this Don Lemon situation is that Nicki Minaj wanted this to happen. Nicki Minaj was coming after Don Lemon. Such a backstab. The fact that she was in Donald's ear.
That doesn't mean he's not talented. That doesn't mean he's not funny. It doesn't mean he's not good at what he does. What it means is, I see you, Godfrey. I see you. And look, I'm not, this is not a personal attack. It's just me telling it like it is, fam. Obviously, Godfrey is playing both sides of the fence. And he's sleeping with the enemy. When I say that, he's sleeping with the Democratic Party. You can't be as well-read, as educated as Godfrey is, and not see all the bullshit Democrats be on. The same way you see bullshit the Republicans be on. I haven't looked, but I'm positive Godfrey had something to say about Nick Cannon and Amber Rose and Chili. When at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing he's doing, stating their opinions. I proved my point. Godfrey be playing both sides of the fence. He's full of shit and everything. And when he's out here talking, he ain't just talking. He's always looking for an angle to kiss up to the Democrats. And to me, that makes him less funny. That makes him less funny. It makes me tune out when he starts talking about anything other than doing voices. Yeah, man, why can't you just stick to being a funny guy and telling jokes? You know, because maybe he want to get his money too. Okay, you want to get your money? Well, you know what? I want to get money too. Doesn't mean I'm going to sell my soul to the Democrats or Republicans. What happened to just being independent and calling shit straight and being real? Is that too much to ask? Obviously it is. Is Godfrey obviously kissing the Democratic Party ass? Or you think he just innocently couldn't think of anybody except Candace Owens? In fact, but see, in my point, when he mentioned Candace Owens as being a sellout, because basically being with a white guy, I mean, I think that's a sell-in. I think if Candace would have been with a black man, she married a black guy, that would be like, now she's a sellout. You know what I'm saying? For a decade, she shit on black people. What's she gonna do? Marry a black guy? Nah, she being true to herself. She had to marry somebody she relates to. Damn it, Godfrey, man, you got me up here defending Candace Owens. Damn you, Godfrey. I'd have roast your ass just for that. Put in the comment section, man. Give me a 1 if Godfrey is right. Give me a 0 if Godfrey's wrong. Yeah. 1's for yes, 0's for no. All right. I'll see y'all 9:30 tonight for the Tim Black Show Live. Peace. Stay dangerous.
Catch Tim Black live on the most dangerous show in America, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Don't miss out on the real. Stay dangerous.